Okay, thanks, Timothy. Hi, everyone. This is Nicole Crowley. As Timothy said, I've been doing this for a long time. So I wanted to take you through our presentation today, and I will answer any questions at the end that you may have. I'm going to give you a high level of how you can automate with Microsoft Dynamics and make things a little easier. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So what we're going to cover today: the traits of a successful business, challenges of manual tax compliance, how technology can help, and then again, question and answers. Okay. So the recession is over. So growth strategy, next exit. All right, so the good news is that the recession is over. Companies that were struggling in the past are growing at lightning speed and claiming market share that wasn't available to them just a few years ago. They're finding new revenue streams, adapting quickly, and accommodating those changes. So you can either get on the train, or you can be left standing on the platform wondering what happened. So in fact, according to the annual economic report for 2014 published by the White House, we're back at an all-time high. And in simple terms, the country is now the richest it has ever been. So what does that mean? Well, that means that businesses have a lot of opportunity in front of them. It also means that more strategic, or being more strategic in their systems they use and how they use them will provide more resources to claim opportunity. So today we're going to talk about how we can maximize your ERP system to automate compliance. Then we'll give you a step-by-step plan so that you can operate smarter, grow faster. And all right, so let's look at the traits of successful businesses. So basically, the points would be to reduce the overhead. You want to scale operations. You want to automate business processes and create visibility across core business functions. Okay. So the truth about sales tax. Unfortunately, it's a statutory requirement, and it's a non-revenue generating activity that takes all of your time, at least a lot of your time, and it's very error prone. And unfortunately, it's going to create a lot of risk for audit. So the challenges of tax compliance. So we're going to talk about an overview of some of the challenges that businesses run into while trying to manage sales tax manually. So zip codes. I'm sure a lot of you use zip codes to get your tax rates or base your tax rates on zip codes. Well, unfortunately, it really is a wrong tool for the job. So taxing jurisdictions don't always follow zip codes. The individual counties and municipalities levy sales tax in addition to state rates. Tax rates can vary significantly within a zip code. And zip codes are a blunt instrument for determining sales tax rates and boundaries. They'll almost certainly lead to calculation mistakes, and they really can lull you into false sense of security. Okay, so really, zip codes are for the post office. You may notice new zip codes pop up all the time when a new area has a larger populace. You might have multiple zip codes within a county. You cross this road and now you're in a new zip code. But the tax rate may not have changed. So that's why these zip codes can kind of trick you, again, into that false sense of security. Okay, so let's take a look at just an example zip code. I want to show you how tricky this is, because most people think, especially if it's in a couple of states, you're like, I can manage my zip codes. But just to give you an idea how tricky they can be, we have this little area in Denver. It's Denver Metro, basically. And as I zoom in here, you're going to see I have quite a few different zip codes here, but we're going to focus on the 8011, the Greenwood Village area. Well, in this area alone, we've got 7 different tax rates, okay, ranging from 4.35 to 7.85. Now, how would you know which one to use? You wouldn't. You'd have to guess. I bet even if you lived here, you wouldn't know what to use. But for 80111, here are the taxes represented. So you literally would have the state, 2 counties, 3 cities, and 3 districts. So 3 locals. Most customers I work with, and most people that are tax professionals would think, oh, well, there's probably a city, a state, a county, maybe a local. But for this to have 2 counties and 3 cities, I don't think anyone that even lives there would guess this. So This just goes to show how tricky it can be, and this is just one zip code. Okay, so all just relating back to how it can kind of trick you into, thinking you might have the right rate, but yet you don't. So, okay, let's go to our next slide. All right, so rate rules and boundary changes. So there are thousands of changes that occur every year. Over 100,000 taxability rules, more than 12,000 tax jurisdictions, exempt products, there's exempt organizations, tax holidays, there's sourcing and nexus rules, and many more. So, this is all, as you probably know, this is all the stuff you have to manage. And it really does take a lot of time. And then the good news is at the end of the month, you get to start over again to see if anything changed again. So, again, this is why sales tax is such a hassle. Okay, so let's take a closer look at product taxability. So what is taxable in one state may be exempt in another. Similar products might be taxed differently, and different industries have varying tax rules. So taxability laws are changing. It's recommended to review taxability of your products and services, especially if you're adding new products or services. Without having sales and use tax experts interpreting laws for each and every taxable state and locality, as well as sophisticated tax decision-making systems, it's very difficult to ensure that the taxable transactions are properly taxed. But it is essential for a seller to know what is taxable in each applicable taxing jurisdiction to prevent tax exposure. So, based on what you're selling, you want to make sure that you know the rules, whether it's tangible goods, or is it a service, or maintenance, or rentals, or you name it. All these different items have different taxability. So it might be taxable one place, it might be taxed at a different rate, than the general sales tax rate of that location. So you want to make sure you know all the rules for these. So here's a fun little slide to give a good example of taxability. So you have two candy bars here. They're both Milky Ways. You think, well, they're probably taxed the same. Why would they be, right? Well, they're not. One is not taxable and one is taxable. The Milky Way original has flour in it. And because it has flour in it, it's not taxable. But the Milky Way Dark does not have flour. So it's taxable. But except in Washington. So, that just goes to show that even if you think you knew the rules, you might not, because each state has different rules. So, I've done this forever, and it's news to me, and I've got another one. In New York, if you buy a bagel and you take it to go, just carry it out, it's not taxable. But if you eat it in and it has cream cheese, it's taxable. So, there's just all these crazy rules, and those are just a couple of food examples, but the same type of stuff goes for, digital media, for clothing, software, rental companies, medical device companies, you name it. Pretty much the government has put their finger down on just about every industry. So, okay. All right, so let's take a look at sourcing rules. So most states have a destination-based sales tax, which means the sales is thought to take place in the jurisdiction where the product is ultimately used. So a few states have an origin-based sales tax, which means the sale is considered to take place at the location where the sale is completed. So basically the seller's business location. And so the origin states, you see on the screen, Arizona, Illinois, Missouri, New Mexico, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Utah, and Virginia. And then the mixed source states, which are even more confusing, there's only two, so Texas and California. And those ones are definitely tricky as well. But basically, the majority of it is destination, and so you need to know the tax rate of where it's going. But if you're running a business in an origin-based state, you want to collect the tax from the state on all of your retail sales. However, if you're running a business in a destination-based state, you would not have to collect your state sales tax on sales that you ship out of state. You'd also not collect tax for the customer state unless you have nexus there or physical presence. And then the customer would simply pay the sales and use tax on their own. Okay, so this can get a little confusing. On top of getting the rate right, getting the taxability right, now we've got to make sure we're charging the right tax based on what state it is and where it's going or where it's shipped from. Okay. Okay. So nexus. So fun little slide here that 1 in 3 accounting professionals do not know all the states where they have nexus, basically. So there's a lot of new ways to determine nexus, unfortunately. It used to just be do you have physical presence there, a sales rep, a building, something like that. But the states realized how much money they were losing in sales tax. It's the #1 revenue generating activity for them. And they've really kind of stretched the line for what nexus is. So, you have to think about things like, do you have traveling salespeople into a state? Do you utilize contract labor in a state? Do you have company representatives in states? Do you own or lease any rental property or real property in a state? Do you promote your products or services in state? Do you participate in trade shows? The list continues, but I'll give you an example. If you go to 2 trade shows a year in Las Vegas, Nevada says that's nexus, so you now get to collect sales tax for them. Some states will feel that you have nexus if you do a lot of marketing. So even if you're sending a lot of print brochures, they will determine that's nexus. So you really want to make sure that you're up and up on the nexus rules, or get a nexus study done. Just make sure that you know where you should be collecting. Okay, so exempt products. So another component is to make sure your exemption certificates are valid. Different states have different expiration rules, so don't assume that they're all the same. Florida expires every year. Okay, so that's one that you want to remember. If you're in Florida, you want to make sure that you're getting an updated certificate every year because it's no longer valid if you don't. Something to think about, and I always tell customers I work with this is, how often are you updating them? You want to update your certificates every couple of years at minimum, even if they don't expire, because, have you changed your company name? Have you acquired a new company? Has the company that provided you the certificate moved or changed their name, where it would make that certificate no longer valid? So, it's pretty common for that to happen. So you just want to make sure that, you're covering yourself and you're having a new exemption certificate on file, so that in the event of an audit, you're prepared. So ERP and tax compliance. So without automation, what is tax compliance like? Well, it's complicated. It changes all the time. You don't have any choice but to do it. Most businesses struggle to do it accurately, and most ERP systems, while amazing at streamlining business, don't offer much in the way of tax compliance functionality. So basically 3 traditional ways businesses handle tax compliance. They enter sales tax rates and think that's sufficient, not realizing rates, rules, and boundary changes happen constantly. By using out-of-date rates and rules, they're effectively setting themselves up for audit. So the second way is they're constantly updating rates manually, which is a huge drain on time and resources. And the last is picking an average rate and applying it across all transactions. And so none of those are really doing your business any good. In fact, they're costing you more money than is needed to manage tax compliance. And that's money that could be spent growing your business. So, and that's why Microsoft Dynamics is so amazing. Microsoft allowed us to create integrations to all the Dynamics solutions and get them certified through Microsoft. So giving us their seal of approval and allows us to, sell them to folks like yourself. And that makes it very easy because there's these pre-built integrations, so we can automate tax for you pretty easy. All right, so the cost of compliance. So managing sales tax not only has a financial impact on your organization, but it also takes time away from your daily responsibilities. A recent Aberdeen Group study found that even small companies spend a significant amount of time managing sales tax, 41.9 hours each month to be exact. So what's worse is sales tax management is 100% non-revenue generating activity. So you're spending all that time on something that just doesn't make you any money. You're researching your tax rates, you're building your tax tables, you're researching taxability, collecting certificates, storing certificates, running reports, filling out tax forms, mailing returns, and paying taxes. So all of this, no matter how good you do, you have to start it over each month. You're doing the same thing over and over, and again, not getting any money for it, just hoping you're not going to get audited with a penalty. Okay. And then one more nice little slide here, the cost of compliance. So just a slide that it shows the average cost to manage sales and use tax. So for a small company, it's around $63,000 a year, and for mid-sized companies, about $67,000 a year, which is definitely a ton more than any solution would cost to automate. So, we can work with you, save you some money, automate your process, and get rid of any audit exposure, and let you focus on growing your business. So, a day in the life of the compliance manager. All these activities, so many activities. Overwhelmed yet? Yes. That would be not fun dealing with all that, having all that responsibility. The good news, Avalara can help. So if you want to say goodbye to manual sales tax management, say hello to true compliance, talk to us. How does it work? Well, I'll explain how Avalara's technology works. Instead of researching rates, building tax tables, and implementing tax processes, you install a software connector that links to Microsoft Dynamics ERP to our web service. Because it's cloud software, Avalara is always keeping up to date and the tax rates, rules, and boundaries automatically. When you enter an invoice into Microsoft Dynamics or take an order online, your system will communicate with our web service. And it sends a little encrypted XML file with your transaction data. We calculate your tax and return it back automatically to your ERP. So that happens really fast. It's about 0.4 of a second for it to go round trip. So 0.2 seconds to get to us and 0.2 of a second to come back to you. It's almost boring. It literally just pops up and shows up in Dynamics and you have tax. And then at the end of the month, you no longer need to run reports to fill out forms and cut checks. When you're done processing all of your invoices, you can log into our admin console and do a quick reconciliation, and Avalara will file and remit your taxes automatically. The even better part is that you actually just have to cut one check. You pay us, and we pay everybody else, and it's done. So it makes it very easy. So Avalara's Compliance Cloud Platform. So basically, there's the three components to our service. There's the tax rate calculation, the certificate management, and the filing and returns. We do have some other solutions, though. We have a 1099. We have a lot of professional services as well. So, as I talked earlier about Nexus, knowing Nexus, we have a group of professionals, ex-auditors, CPAs, tax attorneys, and they do Nexus studies, they do registrations, deregistrations, and voluntary disclosure agreements, and audit defense. So, basically anything you can think of, taxability studies, anything you need, you can let us know or let your partner know, and we can work on that for you and put together a statement of work explaining what we could do for you. But basically, the top three components are the ones that most of our customers use. So I'll work with customers and we'll kind of talk through your needs and what you're doing and how we can automate and see what makes sense. If you need all three, then we'll look at that. If you maybe need all two or maybe two of them, you don't have to deal with certificates maybe, then we can look at calc and returns, or whatever your needs are. So we always look at each customer independently and kind of work with you for what your needs are. Okay. So end-to-end sales tax compliance. So Avalara provides an integrated service that maintains tax rates, boundaries, taxability content, and allows our customers to calculate tax on demand with their ERP, CRM, e-commerce, and m-commerce applications. In addition to calculation, AvaTax Calc provides reporting capabilities. So that's the calculation piece, okay? So all of this is handled with our calculation solution. So, we're going to address validate. And this is sort of an added benefit that some customers use, because you can actually scrub all of your addresses prior to even using it. And once it's installed, if you wanted to clean up all your addresses in your ERP, you can do that. And it'll scrub it and put it in the correct format that the Postal Service uses. And so that's sort of a nice little feature. If you have some type of address validation system for shipping already, you might not need it anymore. You could just simply use this one. It handles those sourcing rules for all the state rules, how it should be handled, and the jurisdiction assignment. And then it handles the product taxability based on what you're selling. So this is all built into AvaTax. Okay. Then cert capture. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. I see a little note that connection is not good. So hopefully everyone's hearing me okay still. Avalara cert capture allows you to request certificates as a collection wizard, so it collects everything in one place. It stores all the certificates for you, and it's easy retrieval system. And it helps with the tax decision with AvaTax, so it works hand in hand. And Avalara returns is the last component, is an outsourced managed tax return filing and remittance solution. So customers can automatically file and remit their taxes on time without having to run reports, aggregate data, and fill out and submit tax returns, and cut checks to pay their taxing authorities. So all of this is handled by us. Okay, so tax rate calculations. So Avalara AvaTax, again, has precise rate determinations. It addresses the sourcing rules, address validation, product taxability, reporting, and some additional features our consumers use, global tax calculations. So, if you're overseas selling somewhere, we can help you with that as well. And it's simply, you just let us know what countries you need, and we add that on to your AvaTax account. Cert capture, again, it has a certificate renewal management. It has a collection wizard, it has certificate storage and retrieval, and a certificate request. So very easy. It really streamlines the process for capturing and getting those certificates. And then Avalara returns. It has the notice management. It records retention compliance. It's going to reduce penalty and interest exposure. It's automated scalable filing, a single source of payment, and it's a complete returns processing. So we do everything. So it's just like outsourcing payroll, if you want to think about it like that. Companies that outsource sales tax benefit by achieving compliance, cutting costs, increasing efficiencies, and focusing on growth. And our commitment to you, this is our true commitment. We say it all the time, and this is our goal. We really do strive every day to provide, calculate, collect, remit, and report your sales and use tax. All right, any questions?
Yeah, we have two questions. The first one is, do I have to change any of my current Microsoft processes to use Avalara? Hello?
Could you repeat that one more time, Timothy? Sorry.
Yeah, it's do I have to change any of my current Microsoft processes to use Avalara?
Oh, okay. No, you do not. So the nice part is with the integration, we use standard functionality. So whenever GP or whatever Microsoft Dynamics system you're using, whenever it normally would go to do tax, it'll just look at the sales tax group or sales tax code and see Avatax. So it's going to, whether you're doing returns, credit memos, invoices, orders, quotes, all of the standard functionality is going to work exactly the same. The only thing is when Dynamics goes to look to see what tax rate to use, it'll see the word Avatax, and when it does that, it'll know to send the information needed to Avatax if you have it installed. So it's really easy. It's probably one of my most favorite things about the solution is that it doesn't change any process. So, your people that are using it today, it won't be any new big process for them to learn. It'll just calculate tax correctly for you.
Okay. The next question is when taxability rules or tax boundaries change, do I need to do anything to update my tax schedules?
You do not. So there's no updating tax schedules anymore. So that's our job. So if you install, if you hook into Avatax and you get the integration done, you install our little connector piece. We manage everything, and so as you grow or things change, we already have it researched. So as your orders come across, it's already handled by us. So you don't have to do anything. I mean, really, that's the beauty of the solution. We want you to have to do nothing. We just want you to focus on selling stuff and growing your business, and just let us handle everything so it just works seamless and you don't have to do anything. So, yeah.
All right. Are there any more questions? That seems to be it.
All
So,
right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope some of this was beneficial, if not all of it, but hopefully you learned some stuff. And if you have any questions, reach out to your wonderful partner, and they will let me know if I can be of help. We can always do, independent demonstrations using GoTo so you can see it. We can talk through your exact needs. So I appreciate your time very much.
thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right, everybody, the webinar is over, so I will be in contact with you all soon.